Stop using these grocery items immediately, at least until you watch this video, because what's hiding in your kitchen right now might shock you. The products you trust, the brands you grew up with, the healthy choices you toss into your cart without thinking, many are loaded with additives, preservatives, and chemicals you can't even pronounce. They wear bright labels that promise natural, low-fat, or heart-healthy, while the ingredient list tells a very different story. These aren't rare specialty foods. They're everyday staples sitting in millions of homes. Before your next grocery trip, you need to know exactly what you're feeding yourself and your family. Here is 10 grocery items avoid immediately. 1. Crisco, Wesson, and Mazola, vegetable and seed oils. Before a single drop of Crisco, Wesson, or Mazola reaches your pantry shelf, it passes through a process that begins not in a kitchen, but in a petroleum refinery. These oils, soybean, corn, canola, sunflower, are extracted using hexane, a solvent derived from gasoline. Hexane is a classified neurotoxin. The FDA sets no limit on hexane residues in food oils, none.
The oil is then heated to temperatures between 230 and 250 degrees Celsius in a process called deodorization, a step that produces trans fats even in oils labeled 0 grams trans fat. The omega-6 to omega-3 ratio in corn oil reaches 46 to 1, in sunflower oil 40 to 1. The human body evolved at a ratio closer to 4 to 1. A 2018 study in erythrosclerosis found that replacing saturated fat with omega-6 linoleic acid from seed oils was associated with increased cardiovascular mortality. The Minnesota coronary experiment reached the same conclusion in the 1970s. Those results were not published until 2016. These oils sit in approximately 80% of all packaged foods in America. They are in your pantry right now. 2. I can't believe it's not butter and country crock, margarine, and spreads. I can't believe it's not butter was created to imitate a traditional staple with a manufactured alternative. Its primary fat source is refined soybean oil, high in omega-6 fatty acids. On the ingredient list, mono and diglycerides appear, compounds that can legally contain small amounts of trans fat while still allowing the nutrition label to read 0. The buttery taste comes from flavoring compounds such as diacetyl, once widely used in microwave popcorn production and associated with serious respiratory illness in exposed factory workers. Sunflower oil achieves its yellow hue through added coloring. The base spread is naturally pale. Meanwhile, a 2021 meta-analysis in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found no strong link between dairy fat and cardiovascular disease. Yet the heart-healthy alternative message has endured for decades, largely unchanged. 3. Wonder Bread and Sara Lee, commercial bread. Inside a loaf of Wonder Bread, there is a compound called azodicarbonamide. It is also used to manufacture yoga mats and shoe soles. It is banned as a food additive across the entire European Union, in Australia, in the United Kingdom, in Canada. The World Health Organization links it to respiratory sensitization. Occupational exposure causes asthma. Subway removed it from its bread in 2014 after public pressure, demonstrating clearly that removal is technically and economically possible. Wonder Bread and Sara Lee continue using it. Then there is potassium bromate, an IARC Group 2B possible human carcinogen, banned in the EU, Canada, Brazil, China, and India. The FDA has not issued a federal prohibition. California requires a Proposition 65 warning on products containing it. A single loaf of commercial bread can also contain datum, an emulsifier linked to heart muscle fibrosis in animal studies, calcium propionate, a preservative associated with irritability and sleep disturbance in children, in a 2002 study in the Journal of Pediatrics and Child Health. and high fructose corn syrup. These ingredients share shelf space with the word wholesome on the front of the package. 4. Hidden Valley Ranch and Kraft Italian commercial salad dressings. Turn over a bottle of Hidden Valley Ranch, and the first ingredient isn't buttermilk or vinegar, it's soybean oil. 2 tablespoons deliver the majority of their calories from refined seed oil before any whole food ingredient appears. Kraft Italian dressing follows a similar formula, relying on soybean oil and additives like calcium disodium EDTA to preserve shelf life. Even Newman's Own, marketed with wholesome imagery, uses comparable components. Labels may say natural or even organic, yet the base often remains the same oil-heavy foundation. The lettuce, tomatoes, and vegetables underneath retain their nutritional value, but what coats them can quietly reshape the health profile of the entire bowl. 5. Pam Cooking Spray. The label on Pam lists a serving size of just 0.25 seconds, enough for the calories to round down to 0. In reality, a typical 1 to 3 second spray can add dozens of calories from refined soybean oil alone. A 2014 review by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration flagged cooking spray serving sizes as some of the most unrealistic in the food supply. Beyond the oil, the can relies on pressurizing gases and additives like dimethyl silicone, permitted under the agency's GRAAS framework. A 2015 study in JAMA Internal Medicine questioned how that system operates. Yet the bold zero-calorie claim remains front and center on every can.
6. Quaker Instant Oatmeal. In 2018, the Environmental Working Group tested 28 oat-based products and detected glyphosate in every sample. The herbicide was classified in 2015 by the International Agency for Research on Cancer as a probable human carcinogen. Some Quaker instant oatmeal varieties measured as high as 1,000 parts per billion, far above the group's benchmark for children. Glyphosate is commonly sprayed on oats shortly before harvest as a drying agent. A 2019 study in JAMA reported a sharp rise in human glyphosate levels over 2 decades. In 2022, Quaker Oats, owned by PepsiCo, settled litigation over labeling claims. Meanwhile, flavored packets add significant sugar, maltodextrin, and artificial flavors, despite the wholesome image on the box. 7. Orville Redenbacher's and Act 2 Microwave Popcorn. The danger in microwave popcorn comes from 2 sources at once, the kernels and the bag. Most microwave popcorn bags are lined with PFAS chemicals to keep grease from soaking through, and studies have found these compounds can migrate into food during heating. Brands like Orville Redenbacher's and Act 2 once used butter flavoring derived from diacetyl, linked to severe lung damage in factory workers. Even replacement chemicals raised concerns in occupational studies. In Colorado, Wayne Watson won a multi-million-dollar lawsuit after developing illness linked to heavy exposure. Pop Secret contains TBHQ, a preservative scrutinized in federal reviews. The bag inflates, the seal breaks, the steam rises, and an ordinary snack becomes far more complicated. Campbell's Condensed Soup and Progresso. A 2011 Harvard University study published in JAMA found that participants eating canned soup for just 5 days had urinary BPA levels rise by 1,221%. The soup used was Campbell's-style condensed, America's pantry staple. One prepared can of chicken noodle delivers about 1,760 milligrams of sodium, roughly 76% of the American Heart Association daily limit. Progresso ranges from 700 to 1,100 milligrams per serving, yet most people finish the entire can. Even after BPA phase-outs, replacement linings carry limited long-term data. The comforting image hasn't changed, but what's inside may deserve scrutiny. Splenda, Equal, and Sweet and Low artificial sweetener packets. In July 2023, the International Agency for Research on Cancer classified aspartame, the sweetener in Equal,
as a Group 2B possible human carcinogen. A major 2022 study in PLAWS Medicine linked higher aspartame intake to increased overall cancer risk. Splenda has faced scrutiny after research published in the Journal of Toxicology and Environmental Health found a metabolite capable of damaging DNA in intestinal cells, while a 2023 study in Nature Medicine associated sucralose with cardiovascular risk. Sweet and Low once required a cancer warning label. The pink, blue, and yellow packets look innocent, but the science behind them is anything but simple. 10. Jif, Skippy, and Peter Pan commercial peanut butter. The jar looks harmless. It always has. For decades, brands like Jif, Skippy, and Peter Pan have built their reputations on comfort and nostalgia, but comfort does not equal transparency. Aflatoxin B1, a toxin classified by the International Agency for Research on Cancer as a Group 1 carcinogen, can survive processing, even after roasting. Industrial production means peanuts from countless farms are blended together, increasing the risk of concentrated contamination. Reduced fat versions quietly swap natural fats for corn syrup solids and maltodextrin. Standard jars rely on palm oil tied to massive environmental destruction. Two items in the grocery store stand clearly apart. California olive oil extra virgin, independently certified, crush date published, polyphenols intact, was the fat at the center of the Predamid trial, the largest Mediterranean diet study ever conducted, which found a 30% reduction in major cardiovascular events and was stopped early because the benefit was considered too clear to continue the control group. Now you know what most shoppers never question. The packaging won't warn you, but this video just did. Like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe for more truths the labels won't tell you. Thanks for watching.